There's a silent thief that sneaks up on men as they age, takes your movement without you noticing, until one day you bend down to tie your shoe and everything feels tighter than it should. Or you try to step out of your car and feel a pinch in your hip. Or you wake up and your lower back aches. You realize something important. You didn't lose mobility overnight. You lost it because you stopped fighting for it. But here's the good news. Mobility comes back with intentional movements that restore strength, space, and freedom back into your hip. And today, inside this guide, you're getting a hip mobility exercises designed specifically for older men. Simple, smart, effective exercises that work with your body, not against it. The body's engine room, the foundation of strength, stability, and balance. And when the hips stiffen, everything else begins to crumble. Tight hips aren't just a minor annoyance. Tight hips affect posture, lower back pain, knee discomfort, walking speed, balance, stride length, athletic performance, and how easily you get in and out of a chair. If the hips lose mobility, the entire body overcompensates. The lower back works overtime. The knees start absorbing more stress. The ankles lose their natural range. Mobility isn't youth. Mobility is maintenance. And what you maintain, you keep. That's where these hip mobility exercises come in. When done regularly, they unlock comfort, fluidity, and strength. Let's begin with one of the most underrated movements. Hip circles. A simple rotation, a gentle sweep of the hips in a circular pattern with a level of control that wakes up every muscle surrounding the joint. Hip circles reintroduce motion in a progressive, safe way, teaching the hips to open and glide again instead of lock up. Then there's the standing knee lift. This movement strengthens the hip flexors, muscles that weaken dramatically with age. Hip flexors are responsible for lifting your leg, climbing steps, walking with confidence, and maintaining a proper stride. When they weaken, the hips tilt forward, pulling the lower back into an uncomfortable position. Next, consider the hip hinge. Most men skip after 40. It teaches your hips how to bend correctly without transferring unnecessary pressure into your spine. Older men often perform daily movements incorrectly because their hips have forgotten how to move independently. They bend with their back instead of their hips, or they twist with their shoulders instead of their pelvis. The hip hinge rewires this pattern. Hip openers. These gently rotate the thigh outward, stretching tight internal rotators and activating muscles that often go dormant after decades of sitting. Hip openers create the space that allows the legs to swing freely, the pelvis to rotate naturally, and the back to move without strain. Controlled hip rotations while standing. Slow rotations activate the deep stabilizer muscles of the hips, muscles that don't get trained by walking or even basic stretching. These stabilizers keep the hip joint aligned, reduce grinding sensations, and prevent compensations that lead to long-term pain. When these stabilizers awaken, the hips feel younger. Another essential movement is the high march with intentional hip engagement. It's about deliberately engaging the hip flexors, glutes, and core to reinforce a strong, stable gait pattern. Many older men develop a shuffle instead of a stride because their hips lose spring. This movement reintroduces that trust. It restores confidence in stepping, walking, and climbing. And let's not forget standing hip flexor stretches, which offer relief. When the hip flexors tighten, they tilt the pelvis forward, compress the lower back, and restrict movement in every direction. Loosening these muscles not only restores hip mobility, but also reduces lower back stiffness, something nearly every older man deals with. Then there's the side step with knee drive, an exercise that creates coordination between the outer hip muscles and the core. This helps stabilize the pelvis during walking and prevents the hips from swaying or dropping with each step. It improves gait, improves balance. and it taps into the muscles most responsible for staying agile and preventing falls as you age. Now imagine a movement designed to restore inner hip flexibility. Adductor stretches while standing. Older men often neglect the inner thigh muscles. When the inner thighs tighten, they restrict hip rotation, reduce overall mobility, and create unwanted tension in the pelvis. Gently stretching the adductors while maintaining balance activates the inner hip muscles while simultaneously lengthening them, unlocking movement that hasn't been accessed in years. Then comes the backward leg extension, a movement that strengthens the glutes, stretches the front of the hips, and improves hip stability all at once. The glutes are the powerhouse of the body, and when they weaken, every movement becomes harder. Backward leg extensions reawaken this power. They help restore a strong, upright posture, reduce the likelihood of lower back compensation, increase hip extension, which is vital for maintaining a natural, smooth walking pattern. And one of the simplest yet most effective mobility drills is the standing pelvic tilt. Men often overlook how much pelvic control affects mobility and balance. This movement teaches the pelvis how to move independently, freeing it from stiffness and resetting alignment. As the pelvis regains mobility, the hips follow, and daily movements become easier. Another highly effective drill is the wide stance hip shift. This is crucial for restoring the hips' frontal plane mobility, a range older men often lose first. When you shift your hips gently from left to right, you're training the joint to operate smoothly under your body weight, preparing your hips for real-world movement. Finally, there's the controlled standing twist, a movement that blends hip rotation, pelvic control, core stabilization, and postural strength. While the upper body rotates, the hips provide stability and mobility at the same time. This movement is especially powerful for men who feel stiff when turning or twisting. It helps integrate the hips into the natural rotation of the spine, improving fluidity and restoring youthful movement quality. All these exercises work together to rebuild the mobility that aging quietly erodes. This compilation guide isn't just a workout. It's a roadmap to feeling younger, stronger, and more capable. You can reclaim your mobility, restore your strength, reset your body, one intentional movement at a time. Your best movement years aren't behind you. They're waiting for you to claim them.